Yeah, I think after a little bit of film on tape last year, I think that kind of gave, John and Kyle some confidence to kind of believe in me. The defense is going to look a whole lot different this year. I think energy is the biggest thing that Saleh preaches. The football game is mostly built off of momentum. I mean, the expectation is to win the Super Bowl, but in order to do that, we got to take, every day, one day at a time, and, just do the best of our ability that one day, and hopefully, eventually, we'll be back here in the Bay in February.
This is not 49er related. It's just 49er. On the River Islands guest line here on Willard and Dibs with Grandy, it's Dee Winters of the 49ers. Hi, Dee. How you doing?
I'm doing good, Mark. How are you?
We're doing fine. Yeah. Do you mind if I call you DeMondrick? Does your family still do that? And when did everybody just start calling you Dee?
I mean, it started pretty early on in my life. Everybody just couldn't say the name right, so Dee was the easiest way to go. So ever since I was little, they start calling me Dee, but DeMondrick is my real name.
Okay. And do you still get that when you get in trouble, Dee? Like, DeMondrick, get in here.
Yeah, every now and then that happens.
That's great. Dee, I'm curious what this offseason has been like for you, because this offseason saw longtime starter and fan favorite Dre Greenlaw leave, and once he left, the Niners didn't go out and sign another linebacker to replace him. Do you take that as a vote of confidence from Kyle, from John, from the decision makers, that they felt like you were ready to step into that starting role?
Yeah, I think after putting, a little bit of film on tape last year, I think that kind of gave, John and Kyle some confidence to kind of believe in me and, just give me the opportunity. So when I heard Dre was leaving, I just, took that as it was and kind of just tried to make it my best offseason possible and come in here and improve myself and help my teammates along.
So, Dee, we all know that Fred kind of runs the show, especially in that linebacker room. I wonder if you could put that into words, though, especially as you move into this spot. What does he do for you?
Oh, man, he just allows me to play a little bit faster. He's played this game for a very long time, and he, has seen it all at this point. So anytime he's in the game, he, gives alerts, and probably 95% of the time he's right, whether that's run or pass. So just having that, vet on the team, that guy, it's been very helpful for me in the linebacker room for sure.
What's it like playing side by side with Fred, and when you are being his running mate in that linebacking group? What is the most important skill that other guy has to have, that Dre Greenlaw had, that you hopefully have? What is the most important skill that you need alongside someone like Fred?
Yeah, I think you just need to bring in physicality and being able to do your job. If you can manage those two things, I think, the pairing is always well, and I think that's what, him and Dre had. That was really good was, Dre was going to be very physical, and he was going to do his job, and it complements, both linebackers if you do that. So I think, like I said, if you have those two things and communication, you two can go a long way. So very excited for this opportunity to keep building chemistry with him and take on this season.
Let's talk about the defense as a whole in a few different ways. Yes, Fred is the leader, but he also seems like, he's so in control. He's just clean. He's just like kind of there. And then Bosa always seems like, even though I know this isn't true, when he talks, he sounds like he's maybe only half awake. So who's the crazy person that gets everybody going on the defense?
Yeah, I would say Fred. He's our leader. He's our guy on defense. He's the quarterback of the defense. So he kind of gets everybody riled up, and we're very thankful to have him.
And then to what level is it Saleh? Because we all remember the energy he has on the sideline. So how is the defense going to be different with his fingerprints on it?
Yeah, the defense is going to look a whole lot different this year. I think energy is the biggest thing that Saleh preaches, and the football game is mostly built off of momentum. So anytime we can get energy from the sidelines, the defense, third down and stuff like that, I think that's a huge opportunity for us to just go out there and do what we do.
I'm curious, Dee, you're talking about Saleh and the energy that he brings. Last time he was the Niners defensive coordinator, you were not yet with the Niners and not yet in the NFL, but I'm sure you talked to Fred Warner, you talked to Nick Bosa, you talked to maybe some holdovers on the coaching staff that had played and coached with Saleh while he was still with the Niners. So what did you hear about Saleh before he became your DC, and has that lived up to what you know about him now that you've had a full offseason with him as the DC?
Yeah, I would say I heard a lot about the energy aspect of, him, how great of a coach he is, and, how well prepped he is. He's going to do his job and, make sure that we're, the game plan is very precise and very, strict. So I think he's done a great job, and he's, been exactly what I thought he was going to be.
Dee, I know that this is kind of par for the course in football, but it seems like it's turned up all the way to 10 right now on the injury front. Are you guys worried about this, all the injuries?
I can't really speak on that. I don't really know too much about the injury aspect of the team, but hopefully everybody gets healthy.
What about this? You were a wide receiver in high school, weren't you?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so what do you think, Dee? There's a need.
To be honest, I wouldn't mind lining up a receiver, catching a few balls, and get back to my old days. But right now, I'm mainly focused on linebacker and doing my job and, being the best I can be for this team.
Travis Hunter, am I right? You can do this, Dee.
Yeah.
Dee, I'm curious about what you think of the rest of the linebacker room. We asked you about Fred Warner, and we all know that's all pro Fred, the best linebacker in the league. You're pretty young. You got a couple of other youngsters in there as well. Nick Martin, a draft pick this past April. Tatum Bethune was a draft pick the year prior. I liked what both those guys did in Vegas in that second preseason game. What about those two young guys who are pushing for that third linebacker spot and then depth as well? What have you seen from those guys?
Man, I just seen a bunch of growth, especially from Tatum. Just year one, year two, just his ability to communicate and run the defense, pretty good. As far as Nick Martin, I think he just flies around, man. I think he's very physical, very smart linebacker, and I'm excited to see what he's going to do this year.
Dee, I wonder to what level do you kind of – I wonder players in general, to what level do you kind of look at the schedule – and start breaking things down in your mind? I know George Kittle, for instance, recently commented and said, I don't like how everyone keeps saying this is an easy schedule because it's the NFL. But to what level are you kind of diving in and looking at things week by week right now?
Yeah, I would pretty much piggyback off what, George said. It is the NFL, and no game is easy. So I think just taking, a game 1 week at a time and focusing on that, and that's the best thing that we could possibly do.
Dee, I'm curious if you guys talk about expectations for the season at all, because on the outside, I don't know if you're on social media, if you hear a lot of this or not. On the outside, there's a lot of talk about if the Super Bowl window is open or if it's closed, if this is a rebuild, a retool, however you want to describe it. Do you guys in that locker room talk about expectations and what you want to accomplish as a team this season? Does that happen maybe closer to week one? Does it go unsaid entirely? Do you guys talk about expectations, goals for the team?
The expectation is to win the Super Bowl, but in order to do that, we got to take, every day, one day at a time, and, just do the best of our ability that one day, and hopefully, eventually, we'll be back here in the Bay in February.
Dee, I wonder about this, because you're still a young player. You're not a rookie, but you're still a very young player. It feels like the Niners are going to be relying on rookies, at least in some spots this year. What's your thought on how long it took you to really feel ready to contribute at the NFL level?
Yeah, to be honest, I think that first year was a huge curveball for me, actually being in the box, playing linebacker. So I would say my process was a little different rather than, some of the people on our team. I think as far as D linemen, cornerbacks, and safeties and stuff like that, I think they've done a really good job of coming in, learning the playbook faster, and processing everything. And I'm excited for them.
With all those youngsters, specifically on defense, it feels like there's from those of us on the outside, a wide range of outcomes. You have a number of these young guys who step in and immediately are good. This could turn out to be, a top 10, top 5 defense. Do you and a lot of the youngsters, exclude Fred Warner, exclude Nick Bosa, exclude Diamador Lenore, exclude those proven guys, but you're going to have a lot of youngsters at almost every other position. Does that young group really take over a sense of pride, knowing that you guys can be the reason why this defense takes a major step forward?
Yeah, I think a bunch of young guys are excited for this opportunity, that we have, including me. So I think everybody has done a great job of coming in, every day, trying to get better and improving ourselves. And, we're excited for week one and for the season.
Dee, and this is Dee Winters we're hanging out with here on 95.7 The Game. I want to ask you about a couple of individuals on the offensive side that you've got to go against in practice, and you tell us what kind of challenges they present. Let's start with Ricky Pearsall.
Yeah, I think Ricky has done a great job this training camp of just, being on, doing his job and running crisp routes and, just the little things that, Kyle asked of him. And, I think he's killed it.
Okay, and then what about Brock Purdy? How do you read him?
Brock Purdy, man, he's just a guy who's going to show up and, work his tail off. I'm very excited to see what he does this year. And, it's been a challenge going against him. He is a pretty smart quarterback. So just seeing that look every day has made me better. And I'm excited that, I get the opportunity every day during practice.
And do you get matched up with George a lot on certain plays?
A few times I have. George is the best tight end in the league. There's no question. So anytime I can get the opportunity, I'm excited for it. And, it's been very competitive.
He's a chatty one out there. What's your most memorable conversation with George on the practice field?
Well, to be honest, he'll run a route. Even though the ball isn't thrown to him, he'll just start laughing or something like that. So, but that's probably the most memorable moment I've had with George.
What about McCaffrey? Because as a linebacker, oftentimes you're tasked with defending whoever comes out of the backfield. Have you ever come across a running back that is more difficult to defend out when he's running a route than Christian McCaffrey?
No, I honestly, I don't think I have, except for, Jahmyr Gibbs, or that's honestly probably it. But Christian has given me the best look I could possibly get in this league, and, I thank him so much for that, and, that's really it.
Dee, you're a player who's played in both a college football playoff game, including the national championship game, and the Super Bowl. You played in a college football semifinal, and then you also played in the actual national championship game. I wonder how those experiences compare to your experience in the Super Bowl. Like the pomp and circumstance, everything that leads into it, the nerves maybe pregame. How would you compare and contrast what a college football playoff game feels like versus what a Super Bowl feels like?
To be honest, I think it was the same for me. I think the preparation was the same. I think it was just a little bit more nervous because, everybody talks about it in the beginning of the year, but when you're actually there and it's go time, I think, a lot of nerves tend to come up. But as far as comparing and contrasting, I think they're honestly pretty similar. And, I'm very grateful that I got to experience both things.
And I was looking back at that semifinal game when you were at TCU, member of the Horned Frogs. In the semis, you took on Michigan, who was undefeated at that time. And that was one of the more entertaining football games I've ever watched. I remember it. And you had a pick six in that game, and you helped the Horned Frogs upset undefeated Michigan, who at the time had Ronnie Bell, former teammate of yours with the Niners, and Jake Moody, current kicker. I wonder, in the locker room, do you ever hold that pick six and that win over Jake Moody's head?
Yeah, I did a little bit my rookie year, but now we kind of just let it go because it's been a few years. But, every time something comes up, I'll just give them a little reminder and let them know that, hey, we beat y'all and there's nothing you can say to me right now. So.
Yeah.